process. Many people fail to respond to RFE or file an application before the deadline. This is why we offer a strategy session for 15 minutes at no cost to you. Not everyone qualifies. First, you need to speak with our CARES team. We receive many requests, so we recommend you answer a few questions on our website, greencardguys.com. Our mission is to help people live and work in America legally. Go ahead and subscribe below and follow and share. Talk to you soon. What's happening, folks? Today, we're going to talk about, this is office hours, initially with me, John Ting, your immigration attorney at greencardguys.tv. If you have questions about sponsoring an employee, okay, you might be an employee yourself, a foreign national seeking status, all right? Welcome to greencardguys.tv. I'm your host. We have an office, a physical office. I know this might be strange because there's a lot of folks, a lot of immigration attorneys going on a live show, sharing information just like me, but they're more like a virtual office. So I know that's a concern for a lot of folks. Just assure you, you can Google search us, Ting Law Group, Ting Law Group. Find us on Google, and you'll know that we have an office here in Houston, Texas. We also have another profile, Google profile in Dallas. I'm formerly from Dallas, so I do share an office with another attorney colleague shares their office with me, but our physical one that I'm at is in Houston. Okay, folks. All right, happy to answer your questions. Now, to the topic today. All right. Today's topic is about employment options. Some of y'all might be concerned, like, I'm stuck here. Look, if you're here on a non-immigrant visa, and I really hope that you contact us before at least a month before it expires, because we do have some tips. But for today, more specifically, today is March 20th, Friday. The H-1B registration ends. It closes. The window period closes, okay, for H-1B. So you really need to, if you have an employer right now, let's say you have OPT right now, and you're like, can I get sponsored? Hell yeah, you can. Well, of course, there's some legal requirements, of course, but you want to go ahead and talk to your employer, because I know some of y'all are shy. Once you become an American, you will understand how we are a little bit more proactive in asking for things, right? But I'm sure you may have noticed this on your respective social media platform. But if you're a foreign national, you spent thousands of dollars on tuition and international tuition, don't give up hope. Keep looking, okay? Especially if your OPT's extended for more time. You want to continue to build those relationships with potential employers. Don't just think the Chamber of Commerce meetings are only for business owners. Find a way. Don't just depend on Indeed or any of those websites, okay, folks? It's really who you know. And school won't teach you that on purpose, right? Because they want your money, okay? So here's the deal, folks. About if you do have an employer that you have lined up and they're going to sponsor you, y'all got to get your shit together, okay? Excuse my language, because today is March 20th. The registration window closes March 22nd. That's Friday. And let me see if I can check, but pretty sure that it's 11 a.m. Central Time that it closes. Okay, let me see if I can find it on the USCIS website. But in the meantime, also, even if you're not on OPT, but you're about to graduate this May, you're also eligible to apply. Now, keep in mind, a couple more tips here. For H-1B, for bachelor's, you don't have to have it where the degree is from United States University. But if you're trying to qualify under the master's exception, that degree has to be from United States, okay? That's a key difference that it's not going to be on the USCIS website. Pointing here because that's where my other monitor is. But all right, happy to answer any questions for y'all. And I'm going to hop off LinkedIn. But LinkedIn, folks, or anyone else interested in how to get in touch with us, our number's right up here. There's one of our websites to fill out a form. You can see that on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Otherwise, if you're on TikTok, you can go to my profile, and there's another link to answer a couple questions. All righty. Now, let me hop off on LinkedIn real quick. All right, LinkedIn folks, I'll see you next week. Save changes. Okay, cool. All right, how y'all doing? Following the fork, I just saw your comment here. Technical difficulties. There you go. Do you need a lawyer to start the process? Have a green card? Of course, you're speaking to a lawyer. I recommend it for peace of mind because this is what we do. Our office does every day. So you have that peace of mind. However, I get it. Depending on budget, you may want to file your own. But we do accept cases in the middle of the process. Maybe, for example, you receive a request for evidence or notice of intent deny. Basically, the government's USCIS is saying, based on the evidence you provide, we're likely going to deny you, but we're going to give you a sliver of a chance, like 1% chance to overturn their thinking. Okay. And that happens even for people who have a legitimate, genuine marriage. And we take over, like, what the hell happened here? Right. So if you want that peace of mind from the beginning, we recommend it because if a person hires in the middle of the process, um, it's almost the same fee. So you may as well just hire from the beginning is our recommendation. How y'all doing today? Welcome to the show, greencardguys.tv, which, by the way, folks, we do sell merch. If you go to greencardguys.tv, you'll see our merch there. We have some sayings that maybe some people may appreciate. Alrighty, let me answer some questions. Hey, Jewel, nice to see you. It's been a while. How are you doing? I've been sick a couple times this past month. I hope you're doing well. And I think you're trying to get status too. So hopefully, maybe you're in the US by now. Hey, Faisal, good to see you. All right. John on YouTube asked if you enter unlawfully, do you need advance parole to get a green card? You're a DACA, or you or your spouse is a DACA recipient. Sounds like you're married to a U.S. citizen. We highly recommend it. However, the advance parole based on DACA, you can't just apply. I mean, you can apply. It's like $575, I believe. But the thing is, for based on DACA, is very specific reasons. For example, I'll just do a quick run through. It could be based on education, like you have a school program abroad, or um, you could say based on work. Maybe you have a work conference over there in whichever country. You can't just say that for tourism. That's not going to work. Don't do that. Okay. Don't apply if you're going to just write tourism because you're going to get denied. So don't waste your money in that sense. So you really want to encourage, you may want to talk. Let's say you have a company, you work for a company, and you may want to have a conversation with them if you don't fit into other situation, like they call humanitarian. Maybe a family member recently passed away. We've even used the true reason of visiting a memorial. So the passing happened a year ago or more. Um, what else? Those are the main reasons. So you may want to consider that before just applying. Alrighty. How y'all doing? Welcome to the show, greencardguys.tv. My name is John Ting. I practice immigration law in the United States with a physical office in Houston, Texas. Check us out on Google. You'll see over 300 five-star reviews. Let's see here. Shocking facts. What's going on? Your grandfather lives in the US, but he sponsored your mom. Now he lost his case number. So how can you get it? Oh, snap. All right. Well, I hope your grandfather has an email address because, well, I don't know which case you're talking about, which application, but maybe it's the petition I-130. That's one receipt number or case number. Um, but you could be talking about the National Visa Center and needing that case number, which starts with 3 alpha characters and then a bunch of numbers after that. Okay, so if you let me know which country or you're a little bit more specifics, send us a DM. Okay, and we'll respond to that. Which, by the way, if you're not able to click my profile to answer a couple questions there to get scheduled, you can DM us. It's a lot easier, of course, on Facebook and what do you call this thing? TikTok. Let's see. Thanks so much for the questions. Thank you so much for your trust here. Do I help with international students? Um, Generally, no. In terms of like trying to get the F1 visa, we don't do that because usually the schools can help with that. So I think it's, I don't want to say a waste of money to hire an attorney for that, but you could use your money for a lot of other things in that sense. But if you need a free guide, we can share that with you. Just send us a DM and we'll get your email. Okay. At least to know the basics, because I know you wouldn't most if someone's looking to apply for school in the United States, there's not like one central location for at least the basics, the one, two, three. So you're welcome to, if anyone's looking to go to school in the United States, let me know. We'll send you that free guide, okay? Which, by the way, speaking of information, if you would like our top marriage interview tips, you can email us at wecare@johntinglaw.com. Okay. You can go to or send us an email and just put a subject line specifically marriage interview tips if you can. wecare@johntinglaw.com. All right. My team's probably going to hate me for that, but you're welcome to email us. And if I can, I'll try to set up an automated email so that way you don't have to wait on anyone. It'll be like, psh, like that. All right. Hey, NQ, you say, hello, sir. You have a question. By the way, folks, you're welcome to just go ahead and ask the question because by the time I finally, maybe I might not be able to see your like actual question. Hey, Carl from, oh, shoot, I could be wrong. Is that Australian flag? I get that, could get that confused with the UK. Okay, Trip Too Hard. What's up? I remember you had a question yesterday, right? About they wanted your 45 back. Social Security arrived today. Congrats. It's green card to follow. I mean, it's separate from, it's really two different tracks. It's separate from the green card, but glad to hear you got the Social Security. But I mean, that's good news. I remember you mentioning you got approved like a week ago. So should be, but yeah, not, it's two different tracks. Alrighty. Now let me switch over to the other platform. John on YouTube had a follow up. Yeah, it's for your wife, and she's going to visit her sick grandpa. I wonder if that would be okay. You don't see anything else where we would not have to do AP. Well, if you for your first part of your comment, yeah, if she's gonna visit, then see if she can get some medical documentation about her grandpa and also proof that that is her grandpa. So it's like probably two sets of birth certificate, one to her parent and the parent to the grandpa. I just, these these I-131s or any application could take a long time, like freaking like 5 months, something ridiculous. So you just really want to try to provide as much information as possible to prevent that request for evidence, which the example I just gave you is an example of how our team operates. Our operation in our mind is that we want to prevent RFE if we can. Some law firms are lazy and they'll just send in the bare bones. And that part of it could be like maybe a client saying, hey, send my case ASAP. Like what we do is like we kind of push back a little. It's like, well, what's your goal? Is your goal to try to waive the interview, the marriage interview? If your goal is just to get approved or just to get it filed quickly, that's really does nothing. Except in this situation, that USCIS fees are actually going up April 1st. Okay, folks. So do not wait till last second to file. Please don't. I would really recommend not waiting until last week. So that means you got to file this week. And if you're going to mail it in, pro tip, with tracking number and literally like next day mail. And of course, with that being said, make sure you mail it to the correct location because that's a reason for rejection, unfortunately. USCIS is not going to kindly transfer your case file package to the appropriate office. They're not going to do that for you. You have to mail it to the correct address. What's up, sexy summer? Let's see. What does it mean when you get 797C on your I-130 notice and then stamp in red saying approved for filing? Approved for filing? I don't know what it means, approved for filing. Maybe it just means approved. So maybe you see it like on a side or something, and maybe that's like from the USCIS officer who reviewed it. But there's a little box, right? I mean, first of all these notices from the government are all 797C, which is kind of ridiculous. You would think they title it something differently for each one, but there's a middle, like in the middle right side, should say approval notice or notice of approval. Then that will provide you better clarification on what you have. But I think what you're talking about that's stamped in red is just by a USCS officer. Maybe they meant approved for usage. Joanne G on TikTok, glad you received the free guide and it was helpful for you. Happy to share more information if needed. Just contact us. Thanks so much for your questions. I see several questions about the 601 processing time. I'm happy to check right now, but just to give you an idea, it's every time I check, like every couple weeks, it's about 40, 43 and a half months. But let me just double check. All right, let me check. It's being a little bit slow. Okay, drop down menu is not appearing. Go figure. But in the meantime, let me answer another question. Alrighty. Patricia on TikTok. You are wondering how to get a work visa while having tourist visa. It's going to be difficult. Very, very difficult because there's a process. These applications, fortunately, there is for the I-129 form, there is that the company will fill out for you, or the lawyer will fill out for the company. There's a premium processing. If I recall, I saw the other day, I believe premium processing now, I mean, I know it increased already before the April 1st increase with others, $2,805. $2,805. And technically, of course, the company's supposed to pay for that. Um, let's see here. Alrighty. Um, but you to get a work visa, Patricia, or anyone else wondering, you really need to have an employer. Do you have like a possible candidate for employer? If you do, then we definitely can discuss more. But if it's the type of question where you don't have an employer yet, a possible company to sponsor you, then send us a DM. Okay, we'll invite you to a webinar. I talked about this a couple weeks ago, I think yesterday, that we're gonna start doing webinars for like pretty much for very broad questions, like you're just interested, and it really goes into a lot of detail that this social media, it's difficult to go that in depth unless I record a video separately. The 601A processing time, I refreshed the screen on just USCIS website. It's not showing the freaking drop down menu. It's not showing anything. So as soon as it does, I'll definitely update you on the 601A. But if you're wondering, should I file a lawsuit? Okay, if you're wondering, should I file a lawsuit on the 601A form? I would wait at least 3 years. Okay. The trend the past 6 months to a year with our cases and my colleagues is that the cases are getting approved at around the 3 to 3.5 year mark. So if you're already past that mark, contact us. Okay. Because yes, unfortunately, USCIS does lose case files. They lose track of it. Not for everyone, fortunately, thank God. But they're ridiculous. They don't have a good tracking system. Let's see here. Okay. Following the fork asks, do you have to come back to the US to maintain a green card status if you go to UK for 2 year visa? Do you mean 2 year visa like a UK visa over there? Uh, y- yes. Well, the general rule is that you have to maintain your residency, green card status in the United States. You have to live in the US for at least 6 months out of a calendar year because you don't want to abandon your status. I know it's ridiculous. You got through this whole process and then you go to work in a different country or just travel, have a nice life, relax a bit, and the government's going to give you a hard time. It's freaking ridiculous. Someone's at my door. I'll be right back. 10 seconds. Alrighty, I'm back, folks. Thanks so much for being patient. My dog is basically the doorbell. Gotta figure that out soon. I gotta get my shit together about the doorbell. Home life. Gotta figure that out. Okay. Following the fork. If you're still on, here's the actual advice following the fork. If you still want to go, which anyone who wants to be outside outside of the US for more than 6 months, this is what you have to do. Okay. You need to apply for as soon as you get your resident status, even if you think your trip or for work, whatever, for whatever reason, is gonna be around like 3, 4 months. But there's like an inkling, you have an inkling of idea, it could take longer than 6 months. Okay. You need to apply for a re-entry permit. That's on the 131 form. The 131 form is used for a lot of different situations. It's all related to travel. Okay, so you need to apply for it. There are some people wonder, do I need to stay in the U.S. after I apply? Yes, there's biometrics potentially. That's just a default. You have to keep that in mind. Okay, but after biometrics, there's no interview for that. So technically, you could leave and just have someone that you trust mail it to you. All right, but that's valid for 2 years, as far as I know. 2 años. Alrighty. Let's see. I have Freon on TikTok. Did law school teach business, billing, records, etc., running a practice? I mean, I took a 2 credit course for that, but it was just so basic. This is learning on the go. I'm part of a bunch of different coaching groups, whatnot, because I don't want to do this alone. I'm learning from others too. But in terms of customer service and all that, surprisingly, I learned that on my own. I figured that out. Like I want to improve the profession, right? So I want to provide y'all a really good experience, whether you're just talking to us, um, and not hired us, but also for people who are clients. Okay. So, but that's very important. Get that support. Whatever profession you go into, I'm sure there's some kind of coach or mentor to seek out. I highly recommend it. You don't want to necessarily reinvent the wheel. But you're anyone interested in law school, welcome, or about the practice of law, the business of law, welcome to message me. Okay. Nirania, you asked on TikTok, you did a adjustment of status application, or I think you mean you're applying. What should you put in the public charge part? So I can't tell you what to write on that. You're not a client, unfortunately. That goes into way too much detail. Um, yeah, I'm sorry. That's just too detailed. So what I recommend is looking again at reading again the instructions on that. I know it's a little complex on that. I think what you're talking about is on the 485 application. And if y'all wonder, like, why is that on the 485 application about the public charge? Technically, it's a good thing that they added it because if you were following immigration under President Trump, he did add all these ridiculous rules. He added another form for public charge, and that was redundant and ridiculous. Um, but I think you're referring to page 13 on the 485. Are you subject to the public charge ground of inadmissibility, INA 212A4? Most people is yes, but I can't answer that for you specifically. Okay. So hopefully helps you a little bit. Now, you're not the only one that having difficulty on that. Alrighty. Hafsa, what's up, Hafsa on TikTok? You did your marriage-based green card interview a year ago. Snap. And no response yet. Yeah, a year ago is way too long, in my opinion, especially after the interview. So this is a situation you can file a lawsuit, mandamus lawsuit for unreasonable delay. In certain jurisdictions, I do feel like I have a professional relationship with a U.S. attorney who does handle these lawsuits primarily. And depending on the service level that you select with our team, we do have the gold package that allows for that. So we do contact the U.S. attorney first before even filing a lawsuit to say, hey, can you check on this case for this client and contact your USCIS, what do you call it, liaison, I guess, contact to see if we could get this going. Otherwise, if no response in like 2 weeks time, then we definitely file that lawsuit. Uh, Genesis Ortega, hiring. We have a rolling application, so you can go to our career page on greencardguys.com, and there's a couple different positions there. I believe it's like client advocate, which is a paralegal, intake specialist, I believe, is on there, and then also attorney. So those are the main, the more critical positions, I guess you could say. But you're welcome to apply, even if it's for a different position. Welcome to apply. Our HR team is welcome. Happy to take a look. Okay, thank you so much. Thanks so much for your questions. I don't intend to skip around, but I'm trying to scroll down here. How y'all doing today? I'm already starting to feel a little hungry here. It's not even 12:30. Joe asked, "How long can you stay out of the country with a green card?" So if you don't have the reentry permit, then 6 months or less, and it doesn't have to be consecutive. It can be, I guess you could say, all throughout the year. Niha Gotra on TikTok. No response on a 601A waiver you filed in 2021. So sometime this year, I mean, let's say you filed it back in March 2021, then maybe between March and June you should get it. You should get a decision. Okay, if it's longer than that, then of course contact our team. We'll consider filing a lawsuit for you if we need to. Okay, we'll reevaluate then. But definitely anything before March 2021, you should have received a decision. If not, then definitely contact us. Which, by the way, on TikTok, if you're wondering how to contact us, you go to our profile, my profile page, and click on the profile bio link. I think it is, and it'll take you to this fancy thing with a bunch of different other links. So I believe the first one is the one where you can answer a few questions. Which, by the way, folks, unfortunately, there have been some people that have not showed up to the meeting, the session. Okay, our pre-qualified meeting. So unfortunately, I do have to have a cancellation fee or reservation fee. I guess you can call it like a hold, as if you would go to, book a hotel. We do have that hold for I can't say it out loud. This amount, okay? It's less than a cup of coffee, okay? So if you show up, we'll refund it. Our billing specialist will refund it um, for you. And we just started that yesterday. And I hope you guys don't mind. It's just really to get y'all to show up. I don't know, maybe because the work called you in. I get it, but at least notify us. Some people don't. And that's rude. We got a lot of inquiries, so it really in the best interest of a lot of other folks. We're really trying to help. I never shared this with y'all, but I haven't. We're trying to help 1,000 people by 2025, by the end of 2025. Okay, so we can't have people no showing. That's just rude. And we're trying to help y'all secure legal status in America to help you live and work in America. Alrighty. Okay, hash 8787 on TikTok. Can you travel outside the United States after you receive the 751 receipt, or do you need some travel document? The 751 receipt is essentially your travel document, but some people could lose it. So number one, as soon as you get any kind of receipt notice or approval notice, you need to scan it. Okay, folks. And then for 751, an extra step I recommend is scheduling what we call like an info pass appointment. It actually might be, I don't know if they allow it online. I need to check that with my team. But I believe the best way, unfortunately, is calling in to the USCS hotline and just say the magic words info pass. Okay. And then hopefully that should get you to bypass the bot to a human. And then once that happens, then you can, what's it called? The purpose of this is to get what we call a 551 stamp, okay, to show that your residency has been extended. But the thing is, keep a note. One more thing about this tip is that you need to have some kind of proof on hand that you're about to travel. They prefer that. USCS prefers that. Sometimes I ask, sometimes I don't. And so you need to have that ready. They're going to ask you that on the phone. Okay, the customer service tier one. Axel on TikTok, your mom has been waiting 9 months on her case. Um, what did she file for? Residency? Your stepdad is a U.S. citizen. Okay, okay. Marriage case, I guess. Um, 9 months is about right. I mean, yeah, some people have been marriage case for residency, green card have been approved in less time, especially with our team. Fortunately, knock on wood. But 9 months is not terribly off. I mean, 12 months is the traditionally the average amount of time. Okay, assuming your mom is in the United States. If the beneficiary, the applicant, foreign national is abroad, pay no attention to what I said about 12 months. That it takes like at least a year and a half to 2 years. Hey, Chelvin, absolutely. Thank you for email. My team told me that you sent a reply. So if they haven't got back to you, they will. And glad to hear that you filed the DACA for your wife. Glad to hear. Hope we can help you in the future. And yeah, I mean that's part of our step um, that we check prior attorneys. You know, they might do some bad things. I have no idea exactly what he did incorrectly or against ethics, whatnot, but I thought that was definitely important to share with you, Chelvin. All right, folks. Well, in line with what Chelvin was mentioning, it's very important that y'all get the service you deserve to secure your legal status because there's so many lawyers out there, right? And, and yeah, we do have over 300 5-star reviews. I really appreciate everyone who's provided us a review, sincerely. But at the end of the day, especially even if you've been referred to us to check us out on social media, to call us, referred by a friend or another attorney that we know. That's wonderful. We really appreciate it. But at the end of the day, you need to conduct your own due diligence. Okay. So you need to ask certain questions. So, we send out emails to provide that kind of education. And I believe one of our first emails, if you've subscribed to our email newsletters, is like 3 to 5 questions, I believe, on what to ask an attorney, a law firm, because if you're gonna pay money, you might as well pay money to a law firm that you know are gonna get the shit done for you. Okay. Um, sorry, I said that with a little more emphasis today because man, I've just been hearing a lot more horrible experiences by people, and I feel so bad for y'all. All right. What are my thoughts, Nashita? What are my thoughts on DACA? Um, I can say this at least is that you do need to, if you have DACA, renew it before it expires, of course, because if you're in a similar situation with some of our clients and they have eligibility to, like, let's say through a U.S. citizen to get residency, but they entered America without documentation before, DACA is very helpful with advanced parole, so that you can show proof of legal entry, and all you have to do is be outside for like an hour. You don't have to stay like outside US for X amount of time. Okay. Um, it's very important you know that because I know we talked to a couple people who set up a session with us pre-qualifying, they mentioned they didn't renew DACA for whatever reason. Sometimes it's understandable, like someone has certain crimes, and USCIS will consider that as what do you call significant misdemeanor or something to restrict you from getting approved again. So I get that part, but some people they just forget. But if you're wondering my general thoughts about DACA, Congress needs to get their get it together. I know even Texas Senator John Cornyn, Republican senator, I don't know. I think it was pretty much. I think it was pretty sure it was during Trump administration. He said that he cares about DACA recipients. I was like, oh really? Well, how about you propose something in Congress that other Republicans will propose? But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Nashita, your follow up. Do you have to surrender your DACA at all once you go through the interview process? Fortunately, I've never heard of an officer, or even in person when I've been there, I never heard of an officer asking for your DACA card. But if they do ask, that's technically fine. But I don't know. Actually, I wouldn't give it to them yet, even if they do ask. Say, well, I need to wait until I get approved, right, for residency. Um, So hopefully that helps. I never heard of that situation. But in terms of surrendering, if you when you apply for to become a U.S. citizen at the oath ceremony, which is after the interview, you do have to technically surrender your resident card. I suppose they want that because they don't want you to sell it, possibly. All right, all right. Thank you so much for your questions. I'll probably be on for another 10 minutes. A lot of questions here. Sorry, I don't mean to skip around, but I do want to answer this one as well. What law school did I attend? Fatima asked me on TikTok. I went to City University of New York. It's a public interest school. It used to be in Queens, in Flushing, but now it's in Long Island City. If anyone's familiar with the New York area, it's an LIC. All right, let's see here. Let me see if I got another question. All right, let me scroll down here. Yari Olivas. Sorry, I know I butchered that. What is the process of I-290? I think you're referring to the 290B. After you file it, there is no process, unfortunately. It's a shit show. USCIS does not have, in terms of processing times, they do not have, it's not on the list. And actually, I just refreshed it for whoever asked about the 601A processing time. Something's up with the schedule here. Let me use a different browser. I've got so many browsers open. Maybe that's an issue. Okay, let's see. But yeah, 290B, it could take 2 years, it could take 3 months, but generally it's like average about 3 years. Okay. Speaking of appeals or motion to reconsider, one of my associates went to a conference a couple weeks ago, and there was, we love data, look at statistics, understand the statistics, and a different kind of appeal called Administrative Appeals Office for the I-140s, for example, or I-45 based on employment-based cases. There was a data point of 6% approval rate. Freaking ridiculous. So what I'm trying to say is our team usually does not recommend these appeals, a 290B or through the administrative appeals office, because if there's a high likelihood you're going to get denied, I mean, you're going to spend, unless budget is no concern, we absolutely want to give you an idea. I mean, we can't get percentages, but we look at the law, all right, what the precedent was. My dog is slamming the door, so let me open it. Alrighty. Let's see here. So, next question. Looks like some of y'all have similar questions here. Great, wonderful. Glad I was able to knock those out. Argentina on TikTok or Argentina. Can you apply for green card if you're working in the US on a work visa with employer as a sponsor? Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we have plenty of clients who could be on OPT, H-1B, another non-immigrant visa like O-1, P-1 through their employer, the company. And while in the meantime, or at some point later, especially if they, finally trust you to sponsor you for residency, we absolutely help with that and you can apply. Okay. And also, another tip with that is we, of course, recommend employers to do it sooner than later, especially if you're not on a non-immigrant visa, and obviously it has an expiration date. And some non-immigrant visas can't be renewed after a certain amount of like attempts or whatnot, and some are unlimited. So it just depends. Yeah, the USCIS website is something funky going on. I tried Safari and for processing time, and the drop down menu like shows nothing. So go figure. World superpower, they can't get it together. All right, probably about 5 more minutes, folks. Thank you so much for your patience and trust to ask a question. Um, can you, Mukesh Patel on TikTok? Can you apply for U visa expired passport? I don't believe so. If I recall correctly, at least with the 485 application, I can't recall right now if U visa application I 918, if you have to provide all your pages of the passport. But I do know for the um, for the 485 application, which is going to be, if you're talking about U visa now, the 485 adjustment status is like many years away. It's probably 5 to 6 years um, minimum. Well, actually more than that, because the U visa journey, folks, if you have been a victim of a crime, and, and it's fairly recent within the last year or so, um, you definitely need to contact us, okay? Because timing is very important to get it done, to get it filed, because one of the critical components forms is a 918B, a U visa certification, and that is can be signed by a police officer, and it's not just any police officer, or it could be signed by a district attorney or the judge if there was a criminal case that actually went through. Okay, I've actually had at least one case I can recall that the criminal case was with like a judge that was not on the bench anymore, not serving on the bench, and so I just went to a judge I knew in that same county, and they signed off on it. Fortunately, they had authority to do that. But another one sad story, real quick. Yeah, I would say it's ridiculous, but sad at the same time, is that there was an attorney I know of the name. It was in Dallas area where she had some, I think she or someone in her office possibly signed a police officer's name, which I actually know of that police officer, just like a small world. And I was like, dude, what happened here? This is crazy. And the officer was like, I had no idea about this, that his name was being forged. Um, and you can't go to any police officer. It has to be someone who's authorized by the department through USCIS. Okay. And so where an attorney can really help in this situation is that we've had some law enforcement offices um, kind of contest a bit. They're like, "What is this U visa thing? What am I signing? Does this mean I'm just giving a visa to someone?" No, that's not how it works. What they sign is just one part of the whole process. But anyway, if you're wondering like the journey for U visa in general, you apply. It takes 4 to 6 years. On the waiting time is because Congress limited the number of U visas to 10,000. Can you imagine that? 10,000 does seem quite a bit at first glance learning of this, but unfortunately it's not enough. And that's why it's created this like 5 to 6 year backlog. And then after you get that, you got 3 years of U visa. After the third year, you need to apply for residency. Absolutely, because after it reaches 4 years, you're like what do you call, locked out essentially. I mean, we've been able to help other people argue under the exception, but it can be difficult. Okay. Sorry, that was a bit longer explanation than I intended, but it was very important. All right, on TikTok, what happens after DS-160? So after you submit that DS-160, you want to see if you're able to schedule an appointment, all right, for the interview. And depending, there is a web page called the. Let me see if I can find that visa wait time. Okay, I got it open. You're on TikTok, so you can't see this, but if anyone's wondering, let me share my screen, at least for YouTube and Facebook purposes. Okay, there you go. Visa appointment wait time. They don't have it for everyone, but you have to select your proper U.S. embassy or consulate, and it'll do a drop down menu, essentially a chart, I guess, timing chart. But they don't have the wait time for every single application. They certainly don't have it for the immigrant visa. You know, if you're trying to get the obviously resident status green card, they don't have it for that. Go figure. It's only for non-immigrant visa types here. Alrighty. All right. Let's see. Pranab on TikTok. How long after prior date being current will the case 45 be approved? So I'm assuming you already filed it, but it depends on the field office, of course, similar to the family-based cases. They don't have like, but if you're wondering just generally, I would say 6 to 12 months. Okay, depending on the field office. Good luck to you. Wrote Rochna Tasha on TikTok. What is going on with the class action lawsuit? Are cases getting processed faster this year? They are getting a little bit faster than prior years. And I think when you mean class action lawsuit, I could be wrong, but I think you're referring to the waiver cases for the 601A. And last I saw last month, it's like in a stall period. There's nothing. It's like no progress on it, unfortunately. And I like class action. It can be good in some situations. Typically, is to change policy, right? Because you get a lot of people, and the judge can see like, oh, a lot of people are affected by this, but it's not a judge wouldn't. I don't anticipate a judge would in a class action for U.S. cases with USCIS or any immigration application would say, hey, government agency, you need to, in general, moving forward, you need to have a policy of 1 year or less. They're not going to do that. So for these kind of lawsuits, mandamus, um, specifically for delays, um, I would say that if there's no actual like fiscal year restriction, like with diversity visas, that had an effect under the Trump administration, um, that is better individually. Okay, not as a class action. Which reminds me, I need to follow up with someone. Let me write down this name. Okay. Let's see. US Miguel and Castro on TikTok. USCIS hasn't updated your case since you last provided medical June of last year. What should you do? Yeah, boy, that's a long time, right? Since last year, June, um, almost a year for you, a couple months off from a year, 2 or 3 months. Now we file lawsuits based on the filing date, not based on when you provide medical, even though it's been a while as well. So if it's been more than 18 months, you haven't received any kind of decision for adjustment of status case, let us know. Contact us if you're willing. Considering you might not be willing yet, but you're considering it, you want to know more information about mandamus lawsuit, we're happy to share with you. But otherwise, if you want to know what you could do now, is just submit inquiry if the system will allow you to on the USCIS.gov website. Uh, RGB on TikTok. Your biometrics was done for today, AOS, but moving to another state. What should you do about address change? Google search AR11 on the USCIS website. You got to submit it as soon as possible. Uh, because, or I mean, try to time it right. Like if you're not moving for another 3 months, then maybe don't submit it quite yet. But if you're moving at least in 2 weeks' time, just in case that USCIS actually approves and sends out your work permit at least very soon, or RFE, who knows? Um, you need to give them your correct address for sure. And also a tip about moving, because even when people in our clients, we've done it for our clients, submit the address change, we save the confirmation email and all that. USCIS can still send it to the old address. So you also want to forward your address with USPS, the US Postal Service, to your new address. Oh, yeah, I see your follow-up comment. You will be living at a hotel per job until hubby and you have a permanent place. I gotcha. Well, hopefully they can still send it to that hotel. Um, or maybe get like a UPS box. Yeah, United Parcel Service, I guess. UPS box or USPS. Alrighty. Okay, baby girl on TikTok. What if a removal letter was received? I think you could be referring to notice to appear, or notice of hearing with an actual date when to appear and no case at court. Okay. Well, you want to, I don't, maybe your removal letter you're referring to could mean like a removal order. I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but maybe you mean like you just need to show up to court. So, what you can do as extra assurance in a way is Google search EOIR, automated case information. You'll go to a .gov website, you type in your A number, 8 or 9 digits, and it should show up. If you have 8 digits, you want to enter zero in the beginning. Okay. But it's supposed to show up like an update per se, like if there's been a decision on a case or the next hearing date. It could say administrative close. I don't know if specific your case, but maybe it says dismissed, or it might just say at the very quickly, it might prompt like nothing in the system, which would be strange considering you do have a letter, some kind of letter. Thanks for the follow, folks. Appreciate it. If you're interested on how to get in contact with us, if you're on TikTok, you can go to our profile page and click on the profile and then, or my name up here, and then click on the link in the bio, like right below the photo. And it'll take you to a list of things. And the first link, I believe, is our form. Okay. Now, keep in mind, we do now, as of yesterday, charge this amount as a reservation fee slash cancellation fee, because we've had some people, unfortunately, maybe they had to go to work or get called into work. I get it, but that takes up a time slot for someone else. And we do receive many inquiries. So it's only this amount of money. I can't say it out loud because I could get banned on, this platform where you do this action. All right. So, um, but yeah, if you show up, we'll refund it. Absolutely. There's no reason for us to keep this amount of money because the whole purpose is that you could meet one of our attorneys at no cost to you. Okay. Let's see here. Let me answer one more question here. I think I've answered some of these that were copy and pasted. Thanks for the follow. Which that reminds me, I need to put that link on YouTube and Facebook somehow. Okay, MNDS on TikTok, almost a year. You sent back an RFE response for the 864. You haven't heard back, but you did get the combo card. Okay, so you can travel until it's expired, of course, and work. But it's been, so you said it's been a year since you sent back the RFE. Then that sounds like it's been more than a year, right? At least more than a year in like a couple months. If it gets 18 months, okay, MNDS on TikTok, contact us because that's at the point that we would definitely file that lawsuit, okay, for unreasonable delay. All right, folks. Thank you so much for your trust, for your questions. Please follow if you don't mind. A little tap and a share, okay? Really appreciate it. And we'll catch you tomorrow, okay? I should be back on tomorrow. You'll have a good one. See ya.